Hello guys, Oscar here, and welcome back to another Minecraft video. Now today we're taking a look at something that pretty much every advanced Minecraft player has to do at some point, and that is to move items. And we'll see which is the fastest way, and also which is the best way in terms of other things that are more than speed. Now, quick disclaimer: I'm only doing things that are where the item moves on its own, or where the player is involved in something else. So it's not just the player running or sprint jumping and stuff, because that would have been a super long video. So instead, it's things like donkeys that we never really think about, or a chest minecart and stuff like that. So yeah, just quick disclaimer. Don't get mad at me in the comments, please. So to take a look at these items and item speeds, we're going to be looking at three things. Number one, how fast does the item actually move in meters or blocks per second? And then, so that will determine just how quickly will that item move. Second, we'll be looking at a similar thing, but not quite exactly the same, and that'll be the items, the transportation sort of rate, where it's how many items can be done per second at once. So for example, a hopper can only do one item per second, so it wouldn't be as fast as something like a water stream. And then third, we're just going to look at general pros and cons, like blue ice is expensive, you might not have a donkey, like just general pros and cons like that. Alright, first up, we've got the hopper line. Now, all of these strips are exactly 50 blocks or 50 meters long. So I'm going to be timing on my phone, and that's a source of error, but it's fine. I don't know how to get around that. I'm going to be timing on my phone from when I start to when that light lights up. And then for these, I'm just going to eyeball it because I'll be with the animal. So we'll just see that, and hopefully that's reasonably accurate. Alright, so for the hopper line, let's see how much this goes. Ready, get, set, go. Just watching a little bit. Still going. Still going, geez. There. 17.81 seconds by my count. Alright, now what the hoppers taught me there is that hoppers are really slow. That was actually only about 3 blocks per second. It was more accurately, it was 4.8 or 2.8 blocks per second, which is incredibly slow. Wow, I was not expecting that. I knew they were pretty slow, but I didn't expect them to be that slow. Also, for item rate, they can only move one item one item at a time. I'm not sure. It's one item per 2.5 seconds, I believe. No, never mind. I don't know exactly the number of seconds, but it's one item at a time, and it can't be any faster than that, which is a real bottleneck if you're going to be using hoppers for long distances. Also, for other pros and cons, well, pros, they are super versatile. You know, you can take a hopper, you can go down in any direction, you can go up from the top, you can go into any storage container really easily, which is why they're really good for things like super smelters and storage systems. So hoppers are good for that, but they're pretty expensive. I mean, an entire chest and also some iron for one block, that is a lot of wood and a lot of iron that gets used up really quickly. I struggle with that a lot in my survival builds because I don't have those as easily as I could, mostly with the wood. And that makes the hopper really not that great for long distance item transportation. Up next, we have the water streams. These ones are definitely super common. I'm going to start with the most common one, which is the packed ice water stream. And that's because it's cheaper than blue ice. And yeah, these are super common, especially in storage systems and whatnot. And I think that's mostly because they're so easy to build. I mean, they're easy to build, they're fairly cheap, and they're fast too, but let's see how fast. Also, some of you might have noticed these lights were on. That's because I had to redo the clips. I accidentally had one grow corrupt, and I couldn't really just redo it. So, yep, we're doing the whole thing now. So, yeah, that's why those were up. Anyway, here's the packed ice water stream. I'm going to reset. 3, 2, 1, start. .66 seconds. So that's pretty fast. That is a lot faster than the hoppers at about almost 11 blocks per second. It's more accurately, it's 10.7 blocks per second, and that is at least, what, almost quadruple the speed of hoppers, which is really insane. As for pros and cons, pros, these are super simple to build. I mean, just water, ice, glass, maybe just any other block. It doesn't have to be glass. And then slabs or pressure plates or signs or trapdoors even, and you've just got a water stream. It just works. Also, I'm gonna not include these. What is it? These, like I'm not accounting for delay there because I think that's pretty negligible. Like all in all, that's maybe 0.2 seconds of delay. That's not a huge thing across this whole distance, so I'm not accounting for that, by the way. But yeah, so these are super easy to build, they're super cheap, and they're simple, they're fast. That's why they're definitely super good. And then as for item rate, they can have virtually unlimited items at one time. As for the hoppers, having one item one item per block. Geez, why do I keep saying per block? One item per second, or per one item at a time. I always keep thinking it's a rate of some kind. It's one item at a time. These can transport any number of items, assuming your computer doesn't crash, which is kind of a given, but yeah, it's pretty fast. Okay, now for blue ice, which is probably a much faster, or not much faster, but a slightly faster than the packed ice, and it has the same benefits as the packed ice, except it's more expensive. So it's really, if you're rich enough, I guess you can save that extra bit of time. But let's see just how much faster it really is. Marks, get set, go. .65, so that's probably a little bit of error on my part, so we'll just say 4.55 because it's so close, and at that rate it would be 50 divided by 4.55, about, yeah, just a little bit faster. It's about 10.98 seconds, so we can just say 11 blocks per second, so just slightly faster than the packed ice. So it's pretty much the same. In my book, I don't think that's worth it. You know, 10, or it's not 10, it's 9 packed ice for 1 blue ice. I don't think that's worth the extra tiny little bit of time that it helps with the items. I don't think that's worth it, which is probably why no one ever does blue ice, and it makes a lot of sense to me now. Up next, we've got the furnace minecart, or not the furnace minecart, the chest minecart, or this could also be a hopper minecart, or even just a player in a minecart holding items. So they're all the same speed, but I think this is going to be a lot slower than the 2 water streams. They might even be as slow as hoppers, but I'm hoping their storage can make up for this. But let's time it real quick. Reset the timer. 3, 2, 1, start. Oh yeah, way slower already, but it's not slow, or it's not really slow. 6.90, that's actually not that much slower than the water streams. Okay, so with that time, it turns out that a minecart moves at about 7.24 meters per second, or blocks per second, I guess, if you're talking about Minecraft, even though these are meters. And yeah, that's pretty fast, especially considering that it's a lot cheaper. I mean, it's a decent amount of iron and a decent amount of gold and redstone, but if you can afford that, it's really not that bad, especially compared to like blue ice. And then also, it's almost as fast as the water streams. It's just a little bit slower. And then the biggest benefit is probably this. You can hold an entire 27 slots of inventory space, and then with shulker boxes, you can transport a lot of items without any kind of lag, unlike with these. One downside, though, is that unless you're using hoppers or something on the bottom, they're not very good for distributing items like a water stream would be. I guess like you could do it with hoppers, but even so, I think water streams would be a little bit better. But either way, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. These minecarts are really good. Also, this is my like 4th or 5th clip on the minecart, but I did just realize like you do need to load the minecart, which is tedious, especially if you're just a player doing it, or it takes a long time. So that might be a pretty big downside. But that's not what we're measuring. We're measuring how long it takes the items to move. So this is actually really good for actual transportation. Okay, now onto some of the more interesting ones. I'm going to see if I can do this with my timer on my phone. Let's see. But basically, it's a donkey with a chest. It's as simple as that. It's got a lot of carrying capacity, including your own. I'm actually going to include my own inventory in this one because, I mean, I'm going with the thing. So yeah, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, that was probably not good for the time. That's okay though. Stop. It was about 7.85 seconds, which still isn't bad at all. It's actually faster than the minecart, I think, and that's with the little stop that I had there. Okay, so that would be about 6.36 seconds, or 37 seconds actually with rounding. And I realize it's not at all faster than the minecart, but it's still fast. I'd give it a good rating, especially with all this storage capacity. That's at least 9 slots plus, how much is that, 5 by 3, 15. So that's 24 extra slots compared to the minecart, and you don't really need to load it. You can just, I mean, you do with this, but it's a lot faster for loading time. So donkeys are actually surprisingly pretty good. All right, now for pros and cons. Pros, it's a donkey. Donkeys are cool. Also, it's fast, and it's really cheap too, except for the saddle. It's really easy to just put a chest on. It's like, that's nothing at all. And then cons, it might be hard to keep track of a donkey. They're also somewhat unreliable because I believe they have the same sort of system as horses where they might be faster or slower. So you can't really measure it very well, but that's okay. And then it's also a very versatile thing. Like right here, you need to build a huge track. Here, it can't go up or down like very easily. Here, same with the down, you can't go very easily. It can't go up at all. So this is a lot more versatile, especially if you want to move items between bases and don't have an elytra. And so I would give the donkey a 7 out of 10. It's pretty good. Alright, now we've got the llama. And I like llamas. They're cool. They sound cool. You can put carpets on them, so that part's really cool. One thing I don't like about llamas is... oh wait, this is how you see it. Is this. This is actually a good llama capacity. They vary. I think the most you can have is 3 rows of slots. That's not very much at all. So, like, what is it? Storage-wise, they are not good for storage, but you can lead them around like this, and it's super cool. Now we're going to see just how fast we can do this. Marks, get set, go. I'm going to sprint jump. Well, dang it. Haha. Okay, take 2. This time without flying. That's pretty funny. Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. And I can't run. Okay, there we go. I think he's behind us. Ah, yep. Here he is. 3, and stop. Okay, cool. 9.01 seconds. Still not that bad. I mean, it's not fast, but it's not that slow either. Let's just put him up here. And yeah, I'm going to do some math. Okay, some quick calculations later, and it turns out with sprint jumping, this isn't accounting for haste 2, or if you're, or not haste, but swiftness 2, or if you're maybe just walking without jumping, or if you're on ice. That's not accounting for any of that. Just a regular vanilla sprint jump. It's about 5.5 meters per second, and that's not that fast. That's a little bit faster than a hopper. That's not too fast. Once again, it's pretty good because it's pretty versatile, but other than that, there's no storage capacity. I would not give llamas a good rating. I'd say 5 out of 10. They do look cool though, and I really like the carpets. That's a really cool addition. So to conclude, the slowest is definitely the hoppers, next followed by the alpacas, or the llamas, not the alpacas, and then the donkey, the minecart, the packed ice, and then the blue ice. And the blue ice is barely faster than the packed ice, so I guess these two could almost be counted the same thing. But then again, the most versatile is probably the hopper, I would say, for practical needs, unless you want to move between bases, in which case you'd want a donkey or an alpaca. I'd prefer the donkey. And so basically I would say, just to conclude everything, I would say packed ice is the best, followed by hoppers, just for being useful, not for speed. And then, well, for long distance it wouldn't be. So for the best for long distance would definitely be packed ice or blue ice. I'd say packed ice is better. Followed by rails, followed by donkey, followed by alpaca, followed by hoppers. That's my rating. Obviously, it's just my opinion. I don't mean to make anyone angry. If you feel really strongly about hoppers, that's okay. Just my personal preference. But that's the data I found. I had a really cool day of recording stuff and figuring stuff out, and hope you guys enjoyed too. So, with that, I want to thank you guys for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. And if you haven't already, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing. And in the meantime, that's all I've got time for today, and I will see you guys in the next one. See you later.